Netanyahu says that Gaza's future is about security, but leaked cabinet discussions reveal a very different plan, one that mirrors some of the darkest chapters in our history. And he's not acting alone. Donald Trump has his own plans for Gaza, and together they're setting the stage for one of the most egregious land grabs in history. But first, listen to this clip of Moshe Feiglin, a member of Netanyahu's party.
איך אמר היטלר יימח שמו? אני לא יכול לחיות בעולם הזה אם יש יהודי אחד נותר בו. אנחנו לא נוכל לחיות בארץ הזאת אם איסלאמו-נאצי אחד שכזה נשאר בעזה.
Sound familiar? They've disagreed before, but now Netanyahu is pushing for the very thing that Feiglin has always been asking for, the annexation of Gaza and the elimination of everyone who lives there. When Hitler was in power, many Germans, civilians, and soldiers alike agreed with his rhetoric, and we're seeing the same thing today from Jewish civilians and soldiers.
All of Israel is our land. All of Israel is yours. God gave us Israel. All of it.
We always say that we would never let something like this happen again, but the US is actively supporting this genocide. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how we got here, who Netanyahu is, his plan for Gaza, Trump's plan for the land, the hypocrisy of Israel, and how this all ties back to genocide. So who is Netanyahu? Benjamin Netanyahu is the longest-serving prime minister in Israeli history, clocking a cumulative 18 years in the position. He rose to prominence in the Likud Party, the right-wing party that Moshe Feiglin is part of, and a party that opposes a two-state solution. This alone suggests that annexation was always the plan, that Netanyahu was just waiting for the right moment, but recent comments by Trump
We're going to have Gaza.
make this far more disturbing than we initially thought. The Israeli Security Cabinet recently approved a plan to take control of Gaza City and clear it of its 1 million residents. While many of the ministers in this meeting were opposed to this plan as it would lead to the killing of more hostages and the displacement and death of more Palestinians, Netanyahu pushed for it until he got agreement from the cabinet. When asked if Israel would control Gaza,
We'll take control of the entire 26-mile Gaza Strip.
Well, we don't want to keep it. We want to hand it over to Arab forces that will govern it properly.
this will finalize a plan that achieves the goals of his right-wing party and will support Trump's plans for the area. In 2016, Trump supported Netanyahu's expansion of illegal settlements by recognizing Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. Now, he's got his eyes on Gaza. As shown earlier, Netanyahu has no plans to control Gaza after he annexes it. So what are his plans for Gaza? I don't know if you remember this post by Trump from last year.
Donald is coming to set you free, bringing the light for all to see. No more tunnels, no more fear. Trump Gaza is finally here. Trump Gaza shining bright, golden future, a brand new light. Feast and dance, the deal is done. Trump Gaza, #1.
But it's been clear for a while that Trump has an interest in Gaza for himself, and this is all the more clear in this press conference where he said,
And today you just said we're not going to buy Gaza.
We're not going to have to buy. We're going to have Gaza.
but why would he just take it? I think he explains it pretty well himself here.
Gaza is like a massive demolition site. It's a phenomenal location. On the sea, best weather, some beautiful things could be done with it.
This is exactly what a real estate developer would say, and if you think that's a stretch, on a radio show he said, and I quote, "It would be better than Monaco as a tourist destination." Clearly Trump, like Netanyahu, has no interest in a two-state solution and just plans on handing it off to someone who can develop real estate. He doesn't want to rebuild Gaza. He wants to replace it. Although leaders of these countries have already disagreed, he plans on pushing displaced Palestinians to Jordan and Egypt. When asked what authority he has to just take Gaza,
And Mr. President, take it under what authority? It is sovereign territory.
Under the U.S. authority.
because just as he supported Netanyahu breaking international law, he plans to do it himself. He says that this destruction is horrible and that no one wants to live there. So the way that he plans on fixing it is by pushing out the original residents and fixing it up millionaire style. This has been the plan all along. Bomb Gaza into rubble, block aid, push out the Palestinians, and then hand it off to the millionaires. Trump doesn't want or care about peace and security. He wants beachfront property. On the hypocrisy of Israel and Netanyahu, what's so terrifying is how open this all is and how little pushback he's receiving for what he's doing. Remember that quote that I played at the beginning? The state of Israel itself was created after the Holocaust as a safe haven for Jewish people. But now it's enacting the very crimes that it was meant to escape. Even before Israel invaded, the Palestinians were subjugated to certain areas, like the Jewish people in the ghettos forced by the Nazis. And now they're just blatantly engaging in a campaign to ethnically cleanse all of these people. It's heartbreaking. A people who know what it's like to be forced into ghettos are now the very same ones who are forcing others into camps. The UN itself, a group that was formed after World War II to prevent atrocities like what we're seeing today from ever happening again, say that Israel's warfare in Gaza is similar to the characteristics of genocide. Mass civilian casualties and life-threatening conditions intentionally imposed on the people there. They say that they are characteristics of genocide, but stop short of calling it what it actually is: a genocide. South Africa actually brought Israel to court at the ICJ, the judicial branch of the UN. And it was ruled that Israel was in fact committing war crimes. Why is nothing being done when the UN itself is claiming genocide and ruling war crimes? On top of these crimes, journalists are being killed at a rate higher than ever before. In fact, they're dying at a rate of 13 per month. More journalists have been killed in Gaza than both world wars, Vietnam, Yugoslavia, and Afghanistan combined. One of those journalists killed was Fatima. She spent the last 18 months documenting life in Gaza as a Palestinian, covering airstrikes, the demolition of her home, and the death of 11 family members. On Wednesday, August 6, 2025, she was killed in an airstrike that hit her home, killing her and 6 other family members. Israeli officials claim that it was a targeted strike against a Hamas operative in the area, but that's just a good excuse to kill any civilian that they want. What makes this all the more obvious is that 24 hours prior, it was announced that there was going to be a documentary covering her life in Gaza that was going to be made for a film festival in France. It's hard to believe that this was just a coincidence, as they claim. They didn't just kill a journalist, they killed the whole story. Through all this, Netanyahu and his defenders are claiming that this is for their safety. But what kind of safety requires killing photojournalists, destroying hospitals, and then bombing the people that are displaced outside, blocking aid even after officials said that it would free more hostages, and clearing a city of 1 million people just to hand it over to someone else? That's not defense, that's conquest. The truth of the matter is that Israel never wanted peace. They just wanted to clear the land of all of its people. And the October 7th attack was just an excuse to commit a genocide that the far-right party has wanted for decades. We always say that we never let the Holocaust happen again. We created an international organization specifically to prevent conflicts like these. But it's happening right in front of us, and the US is funding the entire thing. If this were happening in Europe or the US, we'd call it a genocide. But because it's happening in the Middle East, it just gets ignored. Netanyahu doesn't need a swastika. If it looks like genocide, sounds like genocide, kills like genocide, it doesn't matter what flag is flying above it. It's genocide.